Patience is a very rare thing to find in hip-hop, both by artists and fans. Most artists these days release dozens of mixtapes and albums before they even reach 5 years in the game. But when an artist really takes their time to perfect a project before releasing it, the fans can tell the difference and appreciate that their patience was worth it. On the opening track to Stove God Cooks' Reasonable Drought, Cooks tells us that patience is a virtue. Take a listen to what he has to say about that here.
You got collage work, his shit mixed with his shit, mixed with day work. My shit is Cinderella's slipper, I ain't sorry for the wait. Bitch, I was in the kitchen dancing on a plate. They wrote my story out in invisible ink. They like what took so long, I'm like, nigga, I barely blinked.
Here Cooks is reassuring his fans that even though it took an entire decade to get his debut album, it was worth the wait. You can't rush perfection, and by the time this album was ready, it truly was Cinderella's slipper, the perfect fit for what the rap game needed. Stove God Cooks was born and raised in Syracuse, New York, and started rapping as a teenager under the name A-Train. At this point, it's hard to find music from this era of his career online, but it's his early work that caught the ear of rap legends Busta Rhymes and Lord Jamar. Jamar, who rose to prominence in the early 90s as a part of the rap group Brand Nubian, has been Cooks' manager since around 2014. Jamar brought a tape of unreleased music from Cooks to the studio with Busta Rhymes, and Busta immediately saw his potential, signing him to a deal with his record label, Conglomerate Entertainment. Over the next few years, he would rap under the name Aaron Cooks, showing up on cyphers and features, and occasionally dropping a single of his own. In 2016, Cooks, aka The Yellow God, released his first official single, Yellow/Day Up. The song has a very different feel from the music that we eventually got on Reasonable Drought. He's using auto-tune, and while you can still hear his impressive wordplay and delivery, you can tell that he was still trying to find his footing while using this esoteric trap style.
Yellow, nigga, but I'm indigo. All my niggas think about is getting dough, and we getting dough. They tryna fuck my day up. Stupid money, my shit way up. If you owe me, nigga, pay up. Or I be on the phone with God like that nigga on his way up.
Looking back now, it's strange hearing Cooks over such trap-inspired production. But there was in fact a time when Cooks was planning on going for a more mainstream sound. He was scheduled to release his debut EP in 2017, and it was set to feature French Montana, Bun B, and The Game. If he did release this EP, it certainly would have set up his career to go down a completely different path than the one that he eventually went on. In 2018, he met Roc Marciano, who completely changed the trajectory of Cooks' career. While Busta and Lord Jamar were pushing for Cooks to go with a more accessible sound, Roc immediately understood what Cooks was all about. They were kindred spirits in a sense. Roc helped Aaron craft the classic project that he was building towards all these years, and after another name change and numerous 24-hour studio sessions, it was ready. In 2020, after over a decade of waiting, the debut album of Stove God Cooks was released. Produced entirely by Roc Marciano, this project is incredible. From the very first verse of the album, you can tell that Stove God Cooks is not just any typical rapper. His delivery is so charismatic and colorful. He treats every word like it's the hook of a punchline, making sure the listener is hanging on to every single syllable. Cooks was fortunate enough to be brought into the game under the wing of 3 rap legends, and he took a little something from each of them on this project. When Stove God Cooks is on the mic, he is unmistakable. He brings so much passion and energy to every verse, you can really tell that Busta Rhymes is one of his main inspirations. They both are more than capable of hopping on a track for just one verse and making that song completely theirs. And that's something that very few rappers can do. When Roc Marciano came out with Marsburg in 2010, it felt very much like when Cooks dropped his debut. Roc signed to Busta and was in the music industry since the late 90s, so when he dropped his debut album in 2010, he was set up to run the underground all decade. With Cooks coming out in 2020, after a full decade of waiting and honing his craft, he's perfectly set up to be the Roc Marciano of the 2020s. And just like Lord Jamar, Cooks is always spitting knowledge when he raps. It may be a different kind of knowledge than Jamar would spit, but it's still knowledge all the same. In an interview with DJ Booth, Cooks said that Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt saved people's lives. He stated that there's so much game on the album, and if he could do something that felt like that, and feel like he gave us his soul, then he'll be proud of that work. And with Reasonable Drought, Cooks gave us something that could live up to that high bar that Jay-Z set all those years ago. Cooks is a very rare breed of MC who could be described as a triple threat, because he has incredible flow, delivery, and lyricism. This is one of the most quotable albums of last year. It's filled to the brim with clever wordplay and punchlines. The subject matter itself is mostly about cooking and selling coke, which definitely isn't new ground for any MC to cover, but Cooks raps about this familiar topic in such a fresh and entertaining way. Stove God's 5 favorite MCs are Jay-Z, Nas, Andre 3000, Biggie, and Pusha T. Those first 4 are all expected, 4 of the best and most well-respected MCs of all time. But that last spot being Pusha T is very interesting to me. You can definitely hear a lot of Pusha T's influence in Cooks rapping. The way that they rap about a life of struggling and selling drugs while making it sound glorious is an obvious similarity. But even the cadences and vocal inflections that Cooks uses reminds me of Push. And if Pusha T's career is any indication of how Cooks's will go, then that's a great sign for his future. This album is filled with banger after banger. This entire album is just Stove God Cooks vocals over Roc Marciano beats, but it never feels dull or repetitive. You'll hear flashes of Wu-Tang, Pusha T, and even Drake on this project, all with no features at all. Cooks even sings his own hooks, showcasing his incredible talent and range. In the year since this album's release, Cooks has been quiet. He's just been letting the music do the talking for him. He's done a number of features, absolutely stealing the show on Westside Gunn's Fly God is an Awesome God 2. He features on 3 of the 14 songs, but after its release, Cooks' verses were the main talking point on the album. Cooks has been working hard with Roc Marciano on the follow-up to his incredible debut. Stove Jesus is supposed to come out soon, after a year of us waiting to see what Cooks will give us next. Until we get this project, we'll just need to heed Stove God Cooks' words, and be like Peter in the water, because patience is a virtue. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, if you could please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Reasonable Drought. Thanks for watching.